The year is 1658. We are inside a dark, quiet cell within the walls of the Agra fort in India. The old man locked inside this room is Shah Jahan. He was once known as the king of the world, the absolute ruler of the impossibly wealthy Mughal Empire. For decades, he lived in magnificent palaces, commanding armies and wearing garments covered in precious jewels. Now he sits in forced isolation, entirely stripped of his power. No foreign army breached the city walls to put him here. His empire was not conquered from the outside. This imprisonment was a highly targeted coup executed by his own family. This structure glowing on the horizon is the physical cause of his downfall. How does constructing an architectural masterpiece result in the ruler of the richest empire on earth rotting in his own capital's prison? Behind the white marble is a history of obsession, a 22-year project that systematically drained the imperial treasury and destabilized the Mughal order. The sequence of events leading to this cell begins in 1631, far from home in a military camp at Burhanpur. Mumtaz Mahal was Shah Jahan's wife, but she was also his chief confidant. She traveled with him on difficult military campaigns, advised him on critical decisions, and held immense political influence. After giving birth to their 14th child, she fell gravely ill and died at the age of 38. Her sudden absence left a massive, immediate void in the command structure of the empire. The loss broke Shah Jahan. Witnesses at court recorded that he wept for days, and within a few short months, his dark hair and beard turned entirely white. He stopped wearing colorful garments, banned music at court, and withdrew completely from his administrative duties. Slowly, that paralyzing grief hardened into something much sharper. He decided against a traditional period of mourning, instead making an irrational vow to physically construct a replica of heaven on earth to serve as her tomb. He chose a quiet stretch of land along the banks of the Yamuna River in Agra. This was the exact location where an internal, psychological trauma began to manifest into a sprawling geographic reality. Shah Jahan redirected the administrative and fiscal output of the empire to manifest his personal grief, creating a vacuum in the state's governance. To execute this vision, the emperor mobilized a staggering workforce. More than 20,000 stonecutters, architects, and laborers descended on the site daily, supported by a fleet of over 1,000 elephants hauling heavy materials across the plains. He ordered the finest white marble pulled from quarries hundreds of miles away. Blue lapis lazuli was imported from Afghanistan, red coral was shipped across the sea, and green jade from China. This line graph maps the severe depletion of the Mughal treasury over 22 years, as maintaining this relentless global supply chain siphoned incredible sums of wealth. The labor itself was agonizingly slow. Thousands of precious stones were carved, shaped, and polished, then embedded by hand into the white marble to form delicate patterns of roses, tulips, and lilies, one sliver at a time. Master calligraphers from Syria were brought in to carve verses from holy texts directly into the walls, an ambitious merging of architectural design and divine scripture. After 22 years of continuous carving and polishing, the structure was finally completed in 1653. 4 tall minarets anchor a central dome that appears almost weightless, floating between the earth and the sky. Achieving this level of absolute symmetrical perfection requires a singular, blinding focus. And while Shah Jahan's eyes were fixed entirely on the marble in front of him, he lost sight of the empire crumbling behind his back. While the quiet pools of water settled in the gardens of Agra, severe unrest was boiling over among the emperor's sons in the shadows. His most determined son, Aurangzeb, watched his father prioritize a tomb over the administration of the living. He used that perceived weakness and the financial strain to quietly build a loyal, hostile military faction. Aurangzeb did not wait for his aging father to pass the crown. He moved his forces, usurped the throne by force, and took control. The new emperor chose a particularly cruel arrangement for his captive. He locked his father inside the Agra fort, the very location that oversaw the emperor's massive, expensive masterpiece. An autocrat cannot afford to look away. When a leader's attention is entirely consumed by a personal obsession, they leave a vacuum at the center of the government, and those vacuums are always filled by force. Shah Jahan spent the last 8 years of his life inside that room. The former king of the world was now an isolated old man, staring out through a small, barred window. As his physical strength failed him, he could no longer stand to look out over the river. Historical accounts suggest he relied on a small piece of mirrored glass to catch the reflection of the white marble dome on the wall of his cell. In 1666, the deposed emperor finally died. There was no grand state funeral. His body was quietly ferried across the dark waters of the Yamuna River. He was carried inside the Taj Mahal and placed on a raised platform, right next to Mumtaz Mahal. He was permanently sealed inside the physical manifestation of his own ruin. Today, millions of tourists walk through these same gardens. They take photographs and marvel at the architecture, largely unaware of the political wreckage left in its wake. Shah Jahan succeeded. He built a monument so perfect that the world will never forget the woman he loved. But the price of that immortality was the total sacrifice of his freedom, his power, and the stability of his empire.